Just like we go through several seasonal changes throughout the year, the Earth and the solar system also go through seasons, but on a much larger scale. People are witnessing this seasonal change within their lifetime, and they are not prepared for it. It's not only just that things are changing, it's that people are being shown things they weren't ready to see. They are hearing things they weren't ready to hear. Folks, you wouldn't believe the things they have discovered, and they just don't tell us about these things. You know, these fireballs we've been having? What do you think happens to the remains? They don't tell people that many diseases we have today come from space through meteorites. Let me ask you a question. Do you think COVID-19 is just one single virus? We have a few things to discuss. The never-ending story of the changing world. Years ago, decades ago, how many of you
This is a Smile Direct Club aligner. It's how Smile Direct Club safely and gently straightens your teeth.
have ever heard of a secret city in Oak Ridge, Tennessee? It was part of the Manhattan Project back in 1942. It was a government town of some 60,000 acres, where they housed residents to work on the atomic bomb, men, women, and children. And the whole city was fenced in with armed guards covering every entrance. The people who worked there didn't even know what they were working on until the bombs dropped in Japan. There were other experiments there as well. The people there were very compartmentalized and controlled. One of the billboards in town read, "What you see here, what you do here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let it stay here." Amazing, isn't it? Now, if they could do that in the 40s, this is 2020, folks. Never assume that the government won't do something. They have and they will. You know how they have these asteroids pass by us undetected? Whenever they say that, it is a lie. They can track every single, listen to me when I say this, they can track every single object the size of a golf ball in space. They can track every single object within our entire solar system. You would freak out if you actually knew about every object that passed by us, and some penetrating the atmosphere. And many of these objects that they don't tell you about are enormous, which is one of the reasons why they don't tell you. Here's something else that I want you to consider. Spaceships, right? All of the large objects that have passed by us, what size are they? And did you actually get to see it, to see if it was in fact a space rock? These asteroids that are the size of vehicles, it makes you wonder, right? You guys want to know something big? Here, I'll give you something. There's a way to find out what the focus of our world governments is right now. It's very simple. You follow the money. And so you don't look at what the U.S. is spending, you look at what the world is spending. 78 rockets have launched so far this year. There's only 52 weeks in a year. What does that tell you? That means every week there are 1 or 2 rockets going up into the sky. Now, how much does that cost? Because you have launch costs, orbit costs, etc. Those things add up. We're talking $50 million to over $150 million per launch. And that's not including their secret space programs. They are more like secret space projects than a single space program. You know, the space agency has the citizen population compartmentalized as well. The youngsters who find this stuff exciting and interesting, that want to actually grow up and work in this field, I'm fine with that dream. It's just the reality is they are compartmentalized too. They don't know what they are getting themselves into, just like the people at Oak Ridge didn't know what they were getting into themselves. Let me ask you a question. You know how they offer information on how you can go and view a launch live, right? Did you know that launching those rockets are part of a ritual? Yes. See, they didn't tell you that either. That's one of the reasons these rockets tend to all look the same. Since the 60s, man. Come on, show me the real rockets. I know you guys can be more creative than this. Where are the X-Wing and TIE fighter craft? Even Star Wars spacecraft seems yesterday compared to what we think we are capable of right now. I've said this before. Anytime they say they're going to do something, chances are they've done it already. And some things were already done decades ago. I'm telling you, they can tell us anything they want, really, and what they tell us is just a handful of old news, disguised as breaking news. Their program is to just now let us in on something that happened probably back in the 70s. Does everyone understand that my goal here is to get to you as much information that passes by you daily? God is probably not using me to get information out to you, but He may be causing you to tune in when you need to tune in. You feel me? Because you are probably starting to hear a lot of the same information from other folks, aren't you? There is a ton of debris coming. A ton of it. I'm sorry, tons of it. That is definitely increasing. Not only that, when I say debris, I'm not just talking about rocks and metallic ores. I'm also talking about synthetic and biological debris, if that's what you want to call it. Along with all of that, we may become witness to the emergence of beings that most people would describe as monstrous and terrifying. They definitely will not tell you about the monsters they've discovered already. Most people wouldn't believe or understand. I'm going to do a video on the woolly mammoth. Have you noticed it is constantly addressed but never really deeply discussed? You guys know that John Carpenter's The Thing? You know that the creature in that movie was a creature out of Greek mythology? Look up Hecatoncheirus. Genetic experimentation is nothing new. They had germ warfare, genetic engineering, the works. You wouldn't believe the monsters that emerged back then. The scorpion men. Imagine coming face to face with something like this. I could do a whole show on the scorpion men and the insectoid beings. Maybe I will. For those of you who are into science, go check out our friend Roger over at Mud Fossil University on his channel. He has content there that will blow your mind. There are many other people here on YouTube who I would say are being used to spread a message, to make an echo. Listen, God is using everything in His power to make sure we have a happy life in the end. He constantly attempts to lead us in the right direction as this world leads us to death. You think a being that can create and destroy life at will, you think He thinks of death the same way we do? You think it bothers Him to destroy a city? He doesn't have to worry about the good people that die, because He can bring them back at a better time period. And He intends to. But think about the wicked. They know they are not going to just be brought back. So their intent is to survive as long as they can. They have this tiny shred of hope that they can somehow win this war. Against God, mind you. Even though the devil himself is being used by God. He is. He is being used. Satan is not just doing things at his own free will. He is doing God's work, if you can believe that. I know it's hard to take in, but take your time with that thought. Then you will understand. Everything is purposed, and we may not understand the purpose until after it is fulfilled. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Everything that you see being pushed in the media, the things that are being pushed in the media or propagated, are at their root pledges of allegiance to these fallen angels. Voting, racism, taking sides, the left, the right, pollution in television. Remember, the one challenge Satan is faced with, that is to get everyone to worship him instead of God. There is more madness to come, folks. Stay tuned. I have some very exciting topics coming up for you to enjoy and explore. Until next time, as always, stay awake, stay aware, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon.